You know that person who never really opens up? The one who listens to everyone, gives thoughtful advice, remembers small details about your life, but when the attention shifts to them, they go quiet. How are you? I'm good. Short answer, closed door. And somehow, the conversation moves on. Yeah, that person isn't just private, they're protecting something. And if that's you, this might explain more than you expected. Here's the part most people get wrong. People who keep everything to themselves aren't emotionally unavailable. They're emotionally careful. Because at some point, they learned something important. Not everyone is safe to open up to. Maybe you tried before, and your feelings were minimized. It's not that serious. Or misunderstood. You're overthinking it. Or worse, used against you later. So your brain did what it's designed to do. It adapted. Instead of expressing everything freely, you started filtering. Instead of trusting easily, you started observing first. Instead of speaking immediately, you started holding things in. Not because you don't feel, but because you learned that feeling openly comes with consequences. Psychologists call this protective emotional inhibition. It's a coping mechanism. Your mind creates a barrier between what you feel and what you show. And over time, that barrier becomes automatic. You don't even notice it anymore. It just feels like, this is who I am. But here's where it gets deeper. People like this don't just hide their pain, they hide their needs. And that changes everything. Because expressing emotions is one thing, but expressing needs? That requires trust. And if at some point in your life your needs weren't met, or were ignored, or made to feel like a burden, you learn something very quietly. Handle it yourself. So you do. You become independent, self-sufficient, reliable, the one people can count on, the strong one. But strength like that often comes with silence, because you've trained yourself to solve everything internally. You don't ask for help. You don't want to bother people. You don't want to risk being misunderstood again. So instead, you carry it, all of it. And here's something most people never realize. Just because you don't talk about something doesn't mean it's not affecting you. The mind doesn't erase unspoken emotions. It stores them. Every suppressed thought, every ignored feeling, every moment you wanted to say something but chose not to, it stays. And over time, it builds pressure. That's why people who keep everything to themselves often feel overwhelmed, even when nothing big is happening. It's not about one moment. It's about everything that was never released. And here's another layer most people miss. You're not distant. You're selective. You don't open up easily because you don't trust easily. But not in a negative way, in an experienced way. You've learned to read people, to notice tone, energy, intentions, what's said and what's not said. So before you open up, your brain is scanning. Is this person safe? Will they understand? Will they stay? And if the answer isn't clear, you stay quiet. Because to you, opening up isn't casual, it's significant. It means letting someone see parts of you that most people never do. And that's not something you give away lightly. But there's a hidden cost to this. When you don't express what you feel, people assume you're okay. They don't check deeper. They don't ask again. They don't realize how much you're actually holding inside. So you become the one who understands everyone, while no one fully understands you. And that can feel lonely. Not because you're alone, but because you're unseen. Now here's something important. There are two very different reasons why someone keeps everything to themselves. The first is awareness. You're naturally private. You enjoy your inner world. You process things internally, not because you're afraid, but because it feels right. Silence brings clarity. Solitude brings peace. And you don't feel the need to explain yourself to everyone. But the second is survival. You stay quiet because opening up feels risky. Because vulnerability feels uncomfortable. Because somewhere deep down, you still expect to be dismissed, misunderstood, or ignored. And both can look exactly the same on the outside, but internally, they're completely different. One feels like control. The other feels like protection. And understanding which one is yours can change how you see yourself. Because you're not someone who doesn't feel. You feel deeply. You notice things others miss. You think things through. You process emotions in silence instead of reacting out loud. And that's not a flaw. That's depth. But depth without expression can turn into isolation, not because people don't care, but because they don't know. So maybe, just maybe, you're not meant to carry everything alone forever. Just because you learn to survive that way doesn't mean you have to stay that way. You don't have to tell everyone everything, but maybe there's someone who can handle the truth of who you are, without judgment, without misunderstanding. And that kind of connection, it doesn't take everything. It just takes one moment of honesty without turning it against you. So tell me, are you someone who keeps everything inside, or do you think people just don't notice? And if this felt a little too accurate, the next video might explain something about you've never been able to put into words. Click it. You might finally understand yourself on a deeper level.